Hello. It's a beautiful sunny December day. When you stop the bike and the wind isn't blowing, it's hot, but it's 8 degrees anyway. So it is nippy, especially when the wind is blowing, so I have to wear my jacket, light down jacket. Walk through Obido's castle, Castello d'Obidos. Obidos, sorry. And every year that's the tradition now, walk around there. At nighttime they have the Christmas market. They have food and shows, theater, music, and stuff for the kids, Christmassy stuff. I was thinking, every time this year when I'm talking to my friends about Christmas, I'm always thinking about like the history of the Christmas tree, how that whole thing came about, getting a gift from Germany and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, the history of Christmas as a thing in the West is interesting. A long time ago, they didn't celebrate Christmas, and they sure as heck didn't celebrate it like we do, with all the music and going to church. I mean, in the old, 1,000 years ago or whatever, you just attend Mass. And then before that, everything was mystical, Gnostic, and all that. You can imagine what it was like before the church emerged. But anyway, be that as it may. I was watching the Christmas carols and stuff on YouTube, light the fire and go through some Christmassy stuff, and watching the NFL. So I grew up in a white Christmas place, so in the States I'm from Denver. And we could pretty much count on some white Christmas. And if you're fortunate, you could go skiing over the holidays. Vail, Copper Mountain, Aspen, Winter Park, Crested Butte. So many good places. And you have your white Christmas. FAO Schwartz catalog. Check off some presents you want. Christmas trees, lights, Christmas decorations. We had a reindeer and a sleigh and a Santa put on the roof. All that kind of stuff back in the 60s. So it was fairly magical, fortunate white Christmas zone. But when you think about it, the whole holiday is oriented towards commercialism, selling stuff. And all the Christmas carols I noticed, they're all like, I'm dreaming of a Connecticut Christmas or something like that, Midwest. White people this really weird idea about the whole holiday. Not really religious. Romantic. The Hallmark Christmas movies, they're all the same. Formulaic. It's almost like a long time ago, Mad Men, Wall Street, just cooked it up and decided Christmas was good for business. And then I've lived in Japan and other places around the world, and they kind of co-opt it because it's a fun holiday. Give presents and the music, the decorations. But the vast majority of the world isn't about white Christmas. Deserts and jungles and all kinds of other places in the world. The legacy of colonialism, converting the heathens to the true way at the point of a gun. I don't want to get negative. That's just the way it was. And religion is a good vehicle for social control, to rally people around righteous causes that may not be righteous at all. But it was profound. Just watching the Christmas stuff on TV and realizing that it's really a very niche market, targeted market. It grew. I can't remember. I read a book about the history of Christmas a long time ago, but it's a very recent thing, the way we do it, especially in the United States, and it's in the Anglosphere. Even in Germany, France, a long time ago, it's very different. You're not decorating the same way, you're not having tons and tons of gifts, but that's the way it is now. It's a very white Anglo-Saxon Protestant marketing vehicle. But it's good for business, just like the NFL. Think about all the money involved in those sports. Hundreds of people having contracts for hundreds of millions of dollars for 4 years. But here, things are pretty simple. Some people put up a light or two. Just a little accent decor to celebrate. Here they call it Bom Natal. Like pronatalism, man. Bom Natal, a good birth, as opposed to Christ Mass. Even the dates are all goofy. So I got to read on that again, maybe tomorrow, because for hundreds of years after the event, if there was an event, and the whole Christian thing wasn't just a spin-off of some kind of Dionysian mythology and mystical rites and all that kind of stuff. at some point, Nicaea, all of that, they decided this is the Christian canon and this is what the story's about. And they debate about it for hundreds of years. Then you have Roman Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox. I think the whole Jesus thing gets lost, as well as the mystical elements of it, the mystery aspects, and anything one might do through prayer, meditation, breathing, deprivation, walking in the desert, mushrooms, whatever it is, magical potions, whatever, within a shamanistic or ritual setting, within a cultural narrative framework, and a real desire to understand reality from a deep truth perspective. You think of rites of passages when people are young, going through puberty or whatever, and then rites of passages like you have in Hindu tradition, other traditions, where you go off when you're older and wiser and do some intense spiritual work. All these traditions from around the world have this stuff, whether it's from simpler indigenous cultures or empires, Egypt or Persia, or the Hittites, ancient Greece, classical Greece, and everywhere in between. I don't know that we have much access to any of that anymore. So people talk about consciousness, like Lex said, it'll be easy to create consciousness through technology, technical means, computers, but we still won't know what it is, whatever that means. But I'm more of a, I don't know what the word is, biocentric or something. But I think all of this kind of stuff, you can create all kinds of constructs and talk about them and think about them, interrogate them, meditate on them, but you know, the ones I'm interested in are the ones that I think matter in this context, are the ones that happen through the body, brain, flesh, the nervous system, the culture. It's an embedded thing, like Russian dolls, layer after layer of onion. And all of these layers and systems and aspects and structures surrounding spiritual experience, or life experience, ecstatic experience, religious experience, mysticism, and so on, is all interconnected. It's all networked into that thing. All those things. So the vagus nerve, the microbiome, viruses, cultures, art, architecture, all of it, you know. And from that emerges and bubbles and ferments within a human being, whether a creature or not. And we get these deep conscious experiences, or even bigger than conscious, whatever you want to call it. And it's always been with us. So I think, if you want to really understand this stuff and experience it on a deep level, what you need to do is go back to the ancients and try to imagine, because we don't know 20,000 years ago what people were doing or what they stumbled upon when they were brewing beverages or tasting stuff from the field or the jungle, and what it meant to them and what they experienced. So I love it, the view. Down here somebody's building a palace. Just rode by. It seems like inequality is starting to happen in Portugal as well. People with money come here and build palaces, and normal people can't afford to buy a house. Yeah, it cycles. But anyway, you go back to those, and then if you could be a part of some tradition that has these things as part of the journey of life, all these new people like Vervaeke, and you can go back to Joseph Campbell if you want and get all the same stuff. Or you could read ancient literature, study comparative religion, whatever, visit some indigenous people, have a shaman pal or whatever. These days they get all co-opted by commercialism, just like Christmas. You pay for a workshop, and the guy who tells you he's a smart ass, a realized one, awake, he winds up raping you in the sauna after you've paid him a couple $1,000s for the privilege. So it's kind of like we don't have that world anymore, and we're hoping that AI is going to sort it out. We're looking for aliens, and I tend to think like other people do. If there are aliens among us, like intelligent beings that for some reason can be here on this earth with this particular atmosphere and biology, we can't see it. It's invisible to us. But we have fairies and traits and all these great little creatures before we had space aliens. And because our imagination can go there, and it needs to go there. It needs to understand deeper things and things beyond us. So I don't think technology is the answer. I think technology is a suite of very, very useful tools that can help us do a lot of things, but it can also help us kill ourselves, So all the pharmaceuticals have side effects, and you have to be careful and know what to look for and have a good physician. And we have less nuclear warheads now than we used to have, but we still have the ability to kill lots and lots of people and then wreck the the food chain for generations. And just all of our human activity adding up could just put an end to this particular type of mysterious consciousness in the universe, the consciousness of mammals on Earth, which would be sad, I think. Something's gonna, the supernova will come and this place will disappear, but it's just sad to think that we were too stupid to take care of our beautiful place and leave it for the future generations to enjoy. No one knows how long the future is. An asteroid could take us out tomorrow. But it's kind of sad to think that we've all been part of this beast, this fossil capital beast. and this neoliberal ideology that is causing a lot of damage. Of course, a lot of nice things come of it. You can put a lot of presents under the tree. Amazon delivers, and that's exciting. Make your kids smile. But it's not everything. So my imagination goes back to the days where you were with people and they were taking you on a journey to find something bigger and deeper that would transform your life, transform your way of looking at the world and understanding the world, and make you feel immortal, make you feel like, okay, this is me, but I'm really not that important. You know, my little thing, I'm part and parcel of a bigger thing, and that thing never dies. And you go through this sacred adventure and rituals to figure that out. Well, what a beautiful thing. As opposed to just going to church and kind of sitting there and listening to the liturgy and being afraid and worrying about the demons. I think the demons all come from us, just like the gods come from us, but we can't imagine anything else because we don't have the capacity. So those spiritual experiences are extremely important because it gives you access to something beyond your capacity to understand, ineffable and beautiful and profound. And this is something I think we miss, and I don't think technology is going to bring us that, nor will pharmacology. I don't think recreational psychedelic use is going to help much either. I know because I've had some incredible trips on mushrooms and LSD over the years, and I grew up in the period where that was just something you did. You just tried mescaline. I mean, there wasn't much to it. It's like, I got some bladder acid, bro, you want some? Yeah, give me a hit. And then you're off. Hola, bom dia. So, yeah, I didn't, with the exception of one time in Northern California when I went to see a quote-unquote self-proclaimed shaman who took my pulse and checked my tongue and my eyes and talked to me for about an hour and a half before he prescribed a certain mushroom concoction. And then I was told where to go and what to do, and to drink a lot of water and not to have alcohol for 12 hours after coming down and all this stuff. It was a real prescription. And that was a strong dose. And I was in Inverness in north of San Francisco, and I really did have a thing. I mean, shape-shifting and animals, and oh God, it was intense. And I had this experience lying on my back, looking at the sky where I was out of body. I was astral projecting, if you will. That's what I thought. And I would go away from my body, first like 10 meters. I kind of look down at myself and look around and say, wow, the view is really cool from out of body. And then I go a little further until I was in the upper Earth's atmosphere, and then I was in space. And then I was beyond the moon. I was like Voyager, man. And each time I went a little further, and it got darker and quieter and emptier. And each time I was thinking, how far do I go before I cease to exist? You know, I'm not gonna be alive anymore. I'm gonna not be able to get back to my body. And somebody's just gonna come across me and say, I just found this corpse in the middle of this field in Inverness, California. I wonder what happened. And so anyway, I did wind up coming back, but not before I had this incredible feeling that I'd more or less entered the void. And then after that, I was obsessed with concepts of infinity and vacuums, vacant, vapid, vacuous voids. But there was a sense that I had after that something had changed. And I can't really explain it. It's supposed to be ineffable, and it is. Not like it's supposed to be, it just is. And I don't know what to say about it, but it was intense, and it was transformative. It's funny, you have those experiences, you never forget them. I can sit down and be quiet and imagine it and remember it, and it's almost as clear as today. And I can also make myself high without taking mushrooms. I can go there, which is weird, but it's true. And sometimes I do that. And so anyway, that's something. But having those, walking in the desert for 40 days, and I've had some kinds of experiences like that from sensory deprivation, fasting and whatnot. And stress, fear, these things can also give you an incredible mystical experience. And when I was in Greece, I had some Jesus experiences with the Orthodox monks I was farming with for a while. And but it was weird because I was more like an agnostic state of feeling, and even though I was going to the church in Patmos, I was reading the Gospel according to Thomas. I was reading Gnostic scripture, Dead Sea Scrolls type stuff. And I was in that space, but I was still enjoying the incense and the chanting and the churches and just the gentle intelligence of the monks. They're really bright people, the ones I know. Very extremely well read, not afraid of anything, any knowledge, but very deeply faithful people. But I was having more of a mystic Jesus type experience back then. I was pretty much into metaphysics and that kind of thing in my 20s, and started to shift out of it because I was in business and dealing with spreadsheets and numbers and people, trying to be a manager, trying to manage things. And so, yeah, that looks like a fun little road. I'm gonna go down that road. Yeah, so Christmas to me, you can go to Christmas Day and just enjoy seeing the people doing what they do, their habitual connection, and some of them are deeply faithful, obviously. But Portugal, Spain, Europe, America, it's more secular now than ever since the whole thing began. Council of Nicaea and Middle Ages and 12th century, whatever. So I don't think there's the cultural structure there, milieu, to keep these feelings for religion alive. And I have to say, my Irish relatives' concept of religion was very simple. It's just, this is what we do, and this is what I learned, and this is what you got to be afraid of, and confess your sins and whatnot. And all that's great, but it wasn't like anyone was reading Thomas Aquinas really deeply or something like that. But, you know, they grow up either a Catholic or a Protestant, and they're passionate about it. That's what they are. You identify as. And of course, in my 20s, I was interested in Buddhism and Taoism and Bhagavad Gita and all that kind of thing. So the anthropology and comparative religion, that was all very exciting and interesting. And since I traveled so much, it just was one of the ways that you experience travel in a deeper and more exciting and interesting way is when you're in Varanasi in India, you have to understand a little bit about the culture so that it lives. And the details, you know, you get a finer grain, more focused, deeper understanding of where you are. The Ganges or whatever. You're not looking at, you know, you can look at a palace that looks all old and Mughal, but it's not. It's like fairly recent. Taj Mahal. But you look at it, you think, oh, that must be like ancient. You know, it isn't. And then when you see the ancient stuff, they're just remnants of lost, mysterious cultures. I love sitting Parthenon and just imagining people back then. And the difference between the Persian Empire and the Greek and the Roman. The gods have power over our imagination and our emotion and our minds, and it's all a really good thing, I think, but it all depends on what it's used for and how it's treated. So religion can be a psychosocial tool, just like ChatGPT can be a certain kind of tech tool, and depending on how you implement that, you know, what kind of a Jesuit you are and what your mission really is, what you've been taught to believe your mission is and what you feel it is based on deeper understanding and reflection. Yeah, so I don't know that we're going to create a religion that's not a religion and what the value of that is, because you're going to have a social, political, and philosophic superstructure, lattice work to hang it all on. So my only thinking is, you know, how do you arrive at a global suite of institutions that have functions that are useful to sustainable growth over future generations, while at the same time allowing for the integrity of a diversity of culture and communities without devolving to the point where everybody's fighting everybody over trees and tubers, you know? So you have certain aspects that are global and global economy, and certain aspects which hands off, leave us alone, this is the way we do things. You're not going to have 100,000 game bees or whatever the scale is in the States and make it work without the superstructure. Because some people are going to have their game bee in a really nice place like this, where they can grow lemons and vegetables and so on, and basically feed themselves and have a tradition and a culture and all that. And some people are going to be somewhere else. So you're going to say, all right, in Arizona on the third mesa with arid place, this is how we learn to live with Mother Earth. And this is what we eat, and corn is sacred because it gives us life, and this is how we build our houses because all the materials are nearby and accessible, and we've learned how to work them. And please, Apache, Pina, Paiute, stay away. Don't come too close. This is our place. These are our burial grounds. You know what I mean? And it can get very violent when things are chaotic and not structured properly. And people have to literally fight to survive and take shit from each other. Because if they don't, their people are going to die. What's happening in Gaza is a different thing. It has everything to do with the neoliberal global financialized capitalism and that great game that, you know, started in the 19th century and is still going today. And, you know, and these ideologues that are brought up in that, whether you're Fareed Zakaria or Joe Biden, it doesn't really matter, Anthony Blinken, they're all idiots. They don't even know where their ideas came from, but they passionately believe in it. And they also know, because they're all careerists, that if they don't do certain things, they won't have access to the nice, pleasantly smelling rooms anymore. So that's a thing. And they can't help doing what they do. It's like, forgive them. They know not what they do. Well, they know a lot. It's pretty hard to deny the murder and suffering going on in Gaza. And you can rationalize it, yeah? You can interpret the code, the legal code, to say, you know, the right to defense, you know, whatever. So Billy started it, he punched me in the nose, so I went over and killed his family and everybody in his neighborhood. Whatever the fucking twisted, ugly, disgusting logic is. You can kiss your mystical, benevolent, Abrahamic religious beliefs goodbye, because you have no moral authority anymore by anyone's philosophy or definition of that. You chucked it, you gave it all up, you lost your soul, you became evil. It's not the demons, it's the freaking ideas. And you can't say that the West doesn't have some bad software running and there's only ISIS or whatever. That's ridiculous. You don't drop that many bombs on Laos and Cambodia if you don't have a screw loose. If you're not really fucked up. But anyway. The Christmas spirit. People go into cities in Gaza now and put up the menorahs and all the trappings of Jewish religion just to spite the people there that they're killing. It's just crazy. And it has nothing to do with being an anti-Semite. It just, some people are nice, some people aren't. If you're listening to Bill Maher to get information about the world and not just for a laugh or a giggle, then you really need to educate yourself, because he doesn't know shit about anything. He can spin a nice tale and a funny joke, which is great as an entertainer. It's sad that he thinks he can interview all these famous people and feel like he's actually he knows something by osmosis or whatever. That's the format. Makes him feel smart. You know, I could call up if I had 100,000 subscribers or whatever. I could probably call up some smart people, ask them a few questions, and let them talk for an hour and get a lot more views. And then some people might think I'm smart. But it's like, no, I'm just Steven, just trying to figure things out before I die. And as you get older, you know, you're thinking with some urgency. While I'm still vital and creative and my mind's working, I've got to get some stuff done. I gotta still be productive, and I have to continue learning. Because this is it, as far as I know, in my current form in the universe. This is, in this particular human way, with this particular physical form and mental configuration and whatnot. You know, this is it. It's always sad to think that people stop learning for whatever reason, especially if they think they don't have anything to learn. That's really unfortunate. But I know too many people like that. That's tragic. They really think that they know everything because they've read maybe 100 books and they watch TV. Yeah, this Christmas thing is not real. It has very little to do with the religion or the mythology or the spiritual journey, the experience, ecstatic experience, wisdom traditions. It has everything to do with a packaged platform to sell stuff. So after Thanksgiving, what do you do when you when you're thankful for the good harvest and whatnot? You just go out and spend a whole bunch of money on Black Friday that you borrowed on some credit card, and somehow that makes you feel good for a half second till you have to go back to worrying about how you're going to pay for it all and what you're going to do with it all. And so we can't spiritually and ethically and morally and intellectually, we can't really think about these things that we know are kind of crazy. The consumerism and the transformation of our climate through burning fossil fuels and extincting too many species because we use natural resources in a bad way. And 2023, when things are supposed to be, well, when things are relatively safe for a lot of people in the world, we have to support with modern monetary theory corporations that make weapons to give to poor people in Ukraine to continue fighting and dying for what? At the end of the day, is that going to help us with any of the world's challenges? And will America need another enemy? And then people claim to be Catholic or Christian, like Joe Biden. Are you kidding me? He has no connection with any of it. Maybe egotistically sometimes he sits down and thinks, oh, I'm a righteous, beautiful guy because I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic. But it's nonsense. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. I don't know the man. Maybe he's had some mystical experiences, or maybe when he prays it's really deep prayer. All the mass shootings in the States just in December, record-breaking. It's just mind-boggling. And then it happens in the Czech Republic and everyone gets excited to say, see, it happens over there once every 20 years. America's not that different. Just December, it's madness. And you talk about hopes and prayers. Nobody wants to do anything. So I don't think these people have religion going on. It's just something that you have to pin on your lapel like an American flag to say you're part of the team. You're part of the tribe or the group. And so you identify as a this, that, or the other thing. Baha'i or Baptist. Which is okay. But the hypocrisy is so grotesque, deep, evil, confused, misled, heartbreaking. And I just keep thinking it doesn't have to be that way. Because if you do have people getting a certain kind of education, living in a certain kind of community, in a certain kind of culture, you can have really healthy people. And then you can have more Einsteins than if you didn't, you know, because you have the potential that some of these people who are growing up nicely might be able to do something useful. But anyway, do you really care about other people? Maybe not. Maybe it's not the thing to do. I know that normal people care about their people. When your mom's in the cancer ward, you're there by her side. But Christmas isn't about that. It hasn't been. I don't know if it's like before World War II or after World War II. I forget that damn book. It was good though. But the Christmas tree thing goes back to the turn of the 20th century, beginning of the 20th century. And yet we take all of this stuff for granted, you know. St. Nicholas, what's that all about? You know, who knows anything about St. Stephen or St. Christopher or all the saints or whatever it is? And who cares deeply, really? Like I say, I know a lot of evangelicals who just imagine that God loves them a lot, and that gives them a beautiful feeling. Gorgeous red-tailed hawk right there. See, every time I see one of these majestic birds, look at that. So gorgeous. You are beautiful. It just fills me, man. I practically want to have happy tears. Because I know, as long as I see the birds of prey around here, that this place isn't too fucking poisoned by the pesticides and herbicides and whatnot that all the farmers have to use. And the feral cats, of which I have 5. Oh my God. Outside my house. But I just feel so happy to see them alive and thriving. When I saw a fox the other night down by our shed, I heard some rattling. I didn't know what it was. And sometimes dogs get into stuff, stray dogs. I went down there with the flashlight and I left it off because I wanted to sneak up and find out what kind of critter was down there. Turned it on and boom, froze in there was the gray fox and a little, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I was scared to death that it got hit by a car or something. So every time I see a badger, I don't know if they're badgers, hedgehogs, we got a lot of those. But I get very happy. And, you know, I'm a typical city boy. I don't know the name of half the trees around here, the plants. I'd have to carry around a pad and learn how to identify these beautiful plants and animals. But, yeah, so meditate on that while you're at it, you know. I mean, enjoy yourself and your family and the holiday and have a great time. And I'm going to do what I always did when I was in Colorado. I'm going to watch football and eat and probably drink wine. So, pretty simple. Yeah, go to Mass. But for me, I have to wait till Boxing Day to watch my NFL because, well, there is one game that starts at 1800 here. So, you know, I'm a weirdo. I like my NFL, but I still think about all these other things. So, hopeless. I love NFL commercials. Everything's fast food and pharmaceuticals and cars. The world is beautiful. Definitely worth making the hike from Colombia through the jungles of Central America to get into El Norte so you can have some of that Papa John's pizza. But yeah, I think we've lost a lot in terms of culture and the access to religious and spiritual ecstatic experience. And if you want to get back to that, go to the traditions and experience them, delve in, see if you can learn something from some people that are really part and parcel embedded in that system, and see what you get from it. And if you want to engage with people like Vervaeke and come up with a religion that's not a religion, whatever's hip, do that too. All right, folks. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Bulianti, out.